How's it going? My name is Brent from Encore Window Tinting and Paint Protection Film, and today we are going to go over the process of installing paint protection film on the hood of this 2025 Honda Civic Type R. So I did already remove this vent here, and I will put that in the end, the whole video on how to remove that at the end of the video. And let's go ahead and get started on this install. So just giving this one final wipe down here. Make sure that we're nice and clean. Nothing has landed on this, any little lint or anything. This piece of material is on a 48-inch roll and it's 70 inches wide. All right, you want to make sure that we're good on both sides, that we're back far enough, and then we've got a couple inches there and not enough here. So let's go, and I mean, it is enough, but we want to put it pretty evenly, the leftover on both sides. All right, you can go over just a little bit more. Now let's go ahead and get to tacking these corners down. So we'll go ahead, let's see what we got in the front. I think I'm going to go right about there. So I'm going to leave about a little bit, 3/4 of an inch to an inch there hanging over this back. So right about there, and that leaves us with plenty of coverage still in the front. Okay, back a little more, there we go. Let's get this all tacked down here to the fender. So we're gonna do a 4-corner tack. Okay, and there's a finger here, so I'm going to give this just a slight pull back down here. Let's see if we can get rid of some of that. That's weird. Why did that pop up right there? Well, we'll see what we can do with that. I think that'll go away when I stretch over to the other side. Okay. So now we want to put a little bit of stretch on this from left to right. Like so, and it looks like that is bunching up a little bit, just like this is here. So we'll keep an eye on that. I think that'll take care of itself when we stretch towards the front. All right, now we need to get rid of all the fingers around the edges here. So let's go ahead and get some tack solution on the headlight here, as well as on the material. And we're gonna give a tug on this. And what I'm looking for is to get rid of all the fingers here and then most of the fingers out here in the front. Okay, so right there looks good. Let's go ahead and get some more tack solution. And then if this doesn't work to the headlight, which sometimes it's not going to work. Okay, let's see about that right there. If I tuck that in a little bit, get in there. I'm actually even gonna take this tool here and kind of put that in there. Let's see if that'll work. This should eventually stick to the headlights. You know, headlights, paint protection film isn't a huge fan of sticking to brand new headlights. It definitely does it, but it's not a huge fan. All right, let's leave that right there. I don't know that this is even doing anything, but I'm gonna leave it anyway. And let's go ahead and get our stretch on this side. Now I'm gonna go ahead and lift this up, make sure we don't have any pre-tacking here. So we're gonna stretch forward now. Okay, so now let's get rid of all the rest of these fingers. Okay, so that looks good right there. These are pretty much all glassed out. Okay, and then we'll tack to the headlight again and then go in underneath it. Okay, that works really good right there. Okay, let's get a bunch of moisture on top of this hood, and we're gonna get rid of some of these air pockets if we can. Let's take a look here. This may travel back, we will see. Because of that tension on there, it may want to continue to bridge this gap. Okay, just getting rid of the big air pockets, some of the excess moisture. See if that wants to stay down. Okay. The problem with the air pockets is that if you leave them in there and you take a long time to get to them, the material starts to dry in the air pocket. Just like right here, the moisture will start to dry off of that, and then you get a real tacky spot that then when you squeegee over it, you could leave some air and stuff behind and trap it underneath it. Very easy to do. All right, so we've got plenty of slipping on top of that now. I'm gonna go ahead and grab the black squeegee here, and we're gonna go ahead and take this out towards the back. And good overlapping strokes. About half of the squeegee is squeegeeing out new, half is going over the stuff we've already squeegeed out. Okay, now that I've come over about this far, I'm just gonna go ahead and start bringing some of this way, because we're gonna get onto this body line here, which is gonna be hard to get this to recess in there as easily. So this becomes now a much safer way to squeegee this out and not have to worry about leaving stuff behind. Okay, we're gonna come all the way to this edge here. And now I'm choosing to take this stuff forward, because sometimes when you get to these edges where there's been a little bit of tension on them, you'll find that if you try to bring that water over and over that edge, it's gonna just go out to the sides of the squeegee. Okay, so we'll continue to take all this forward. Now this edge might be stuck down a little, so we can bring that over this direction towards the middle. Okay, we'll just get basically half of the hood done here. Okay, now let's go ahead and work on the rest of this. So same thing, I'm gonna take this stuff back. You can see I've also got the squeegee turned a little bit like this, and that makes sure that any of the excess moisture in there goes out this way instead of trying to travel up and go out into the area we've already squeegeed out. Okay, then we'll take this stuff forward, and it's just gonna pop up to wherever it wants to pop up for now. Good? Yeah. Okay, bring this stuff out this way again. Okay, and then out towards the front. Are you out of here, or what are you doing today?
Are you talking?
Just real quick, to you?
Yeah, yeah, I'm out of here, but if you want me to do something, let me know.
Okay. Yeah, I've got a some appointment today. So I'll be out of here in just a little bit to go do that, and then I'll be back to get back on this.
Okay.
So.
Okay, if you need me, call me though.
Okay, yeah. All right, then we'll take this stuff towards the front, and then we'll go out towards the middle again. Okay, this is already squeegeed out, so we'll bring that this way. And then we'll take that out towards the front. And just making sure that everything is up over this body line, or body, whatever you want to call it. This peak here. now we'll go ahead and deal with these sides. All right, just sneaking a little tack in there, so hopefully that'll want to stay down. Although lifting that up and putting that back down, it looks like it's staying down already. Okay, good pressure on there. And we're gonna squeegee this out. And then we're gonna add more tack on this edge. So it's all tack. So there could have been some slip under there. All right, and then we're gonna swipe and hold the little fingers that don't want to stay down. Okay, same thing back here. And then you just swipe and hold that. I'll keep an eye on that just to make sure. Well, let's do this right quick here. Let's get rid of some of this extra material, and that'll help get rid of some of this tension that's on this corner, leaving ourselves plenty of extra. All right, we got a little bit popping up right here. Okay, just work our way around. Okay, right here I'm going to swipe and hold. Beauté. Now let's deal with this side. So I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna lift this up, get some tack solution in here. All right, then we'll go ahead and squeegee this stuff out. And I'm gonna go ahead and do a swipe and hold here. Another thing that we could do is try and get this to stick down to the fender here, which then will put some tension on that edge and keep that from popping up. Okay. A little bit more tack in this. Try to flush out all the soapy water. Beautiful. All right. And just for good measure, a couple swipe and holds. So just squeegeeing over that edge, and then good pressure with my thumbs on that edge, right on this part of the squeegee here. So not the tip, right in there. Okay, got a little bit of moisture there and a little bit on this corner here. Okay, there we go. Now let's get this part down. Hold that corner down while I swipe and hold some more of this. Checking that edge, make sure there's no moisture in it. Go ahead and get rid of. So there's just one blade out when I'm doing this, and I'm making sure not to hit the wipers. Okay. Now I'm just going around, double checking all my edges, make sure everything's down. We do have a little bit coming up right here. So fresh tack in there. pick up a little moisture from down there. We don't want to be running the squeegee across the material when it's dry. All right. I'm gonna check this edge just a little bit more here. And make sure that that's staying down. We're gonna do the same thing as we did on the other side and squeegee to there, and then we can hold, and I'm actually holding on the paint like that with the very tip, and that gets that puts a really aggressive pressure on that and makes it stay down. All right. Now we need to work this section down here. So from the stretching, there's a decent amount of tension in this, and that's gonna, I mean, it's gonna work out just fine. What we're gonna start with here is trimming this material out here in the center where we know we're gonna be plenty far enough in to get fully wrapped down into this vent. So I'll go ahead and start right about here. Just one blade out in there, cutting all the way through, making sure to leave plenty of material. Okay, and we'll do a little turn there and then come across the back here. And we need to lift this up so I don't hit that center support with the blade tip. All right, let's try that. All right, I'm gonna put a little mist on top, or a lot of mist. And then let's see what we can do here. Let's see what it looks like when we just take our finger and push it down right here. And it looks like we can kind of trap all that moisture in there. So we should be able to push this down into place and squeegee all this out without having it completely fill back up. Okay, yeah. So I just got my finger down into that recess on, you know, basically under where the vent is going to be, just like that. Okay, and let's get a little bit of tack in here. I am running pretty slippery today. Got about 14 milliliters of soap per gallon of water. Okay, so I'm gonna hold that in place, and we're gonna take this stuff out this direction, and the first thing I'm gonna do is just get the bulk of everything out, and then a little bit more tension with this finger here to hold down so that doesn't pop up again. And now we're gonna go ahead and squeegee this stuff out. And the reason I've got the squeegee turned around like this is so that I can squeegee down to my hand. Okay, just making sure I got everything off of this ridge here. Okay, and I'm gonna put my finger right there so I can lift this one up. Got a tiny little air pocket right there. And then let's go ahead, get some tack in here. And we can start pushing this stuff back in and down. Okay, now because my finger was right here, I did leave a little air pocket there where my finger was. So let's go ahead and get some, I pulled that back up a little. Let's get some more tack in there. Switch over to this smaller squeegee so we can really get down into this recess. Push that out. Immediately follow it up with my finger. Let's push this part out. Okay, I left a little bit of air in there again, but way further down. I mean, really the part that I'm pulling back now is going to be under the vent. So it really doesn't matter, but it's close to the edge, so I'm just gonna go ahead and pull it up. Well, I think I'm gonna do that. There we go. Okay. All right, let's try that again. Much better. Okay, we'll mess with that later. Really want to get these two corners done. Those are the most crucial areas and the most difficult areas. All right, mist on top there. Some tack underneath. Again, right into this corner with my finger, and then I'm going to squeegee out towards my finger, and then the rest of this can just go out the side there, or out the middle. Okay, this time I did move my finger a little bit further over that way, and it's angled different, so I'm able to go right down into that recess to my finger. I like that a lot better. No, no. All right. All right. Unfortunately, I did all that without this camera recording. I set it up, zoomed in, and didn't hit the record button. Womp womp. So hopefully the GoPro got that really good, because that was that one went a little bit smoother than the other side. Okay, tack in there. So once I get, you don't want that bump 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 that you see where this card is, or the squeegee is skipping across the material. You don't want to see that in an area that's going to be visible. That's only something that's you can do underneath where the vent is going to be. Otherwise, you can leave distortions. Those each time the squeegee skips across, you can leave a distortion there. Okay, so let's get some freshy fresh tack in there. Have a little mark right there. Not sure what that was. It was like right here. So let's get over this edge first. Okay, now we'll go down into this recess. Push out in that recess with my finger. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and fill this whole front edge here with tack solution. And we'll go ahead and roll this over. So just that first pass there was down right into the recess, and then I'll take it out of that recess. So I'm starting way back here, making sure that I get everything off of that edge. Okay, beauty. And then let's get this pulled back. There's a little bit of air right there. Get some tacky tack in there. And we'll push this down. out of the recess. Beautiful. Now let's get this wiped off and make sure we didn't leave anything behind. Oh, got some moisture right there, trapped right here. So we'll go ahead and lift this back up to that moisture. Let's bring the moisture this way to that where it's lifted up. We'll bring it back this way, and then we'll push it out. Okay, not quite sure. Here's another one. Obviously, I was not being very methodical about that. All right, that looks great. I'll let that sit and dry, and then I'll try to get you in here where you're gonna be able to see the imperfections that I left down in here when the squeegee goes and does that jumping across. They're all in this area here. See if I can get the light to go across those. See the ripples? Those are the imperfections that type of process will leave, and you want to make sure that that isn't happening out in the open where it's going to be visible on the hood. All right, I'm gonna give about 10 minutes for this to start to really cure. I mean, this should be pretty much dry by now because we did spend all that time in the center there around the scoop, and I guess it's not a scoop, it's more of a vent. And so these edges should be pretty dry, but I'm gonna give them about another 10-15 minutes, and then we'll come back and we'll start cutting this edge off, and then we'll get to the eventually get to the wrapping process. All right, so let's go ahead and start cutting this edge, or trimming this edge off. So we want to leave about 1/4 of an inch. I don't know, I'll try one blade, but I don't know, I'm gonna leave 2. Okay, so I've got my finger running on the body there, on the hood, on the edge. And what that's gonna do is help me keep a nice, fairly uniform straight line. And I'm tugging with my other hand, pulling away from the blade. Gotta make sure you keep tension on that material so your line doesn't get all jagged. If it goes slack, it'll just start bunching up, and then you'll run that over. It just doesn't leave a good looking edge. Here you can see I'm pulling away kind of like at a 45-degree angle from the blade tip, keeping that tension on there. Now let's figure out what we want to do back here. Let's see here. Stand up on the lift. Go ahead and start way out here in the middle. Still trying to keep a little bit of tension on it here with my other hand. Not really pulling at the right angle, but it's about what we can do out here. Okay, and then we'll have to make a decision about this corner. This corner really is too much of a corner to leave that and wrap it underneath. So what I'm probably gonna do here is trim that off like this. Otherwise, it's just gonna be too much material bunched up underneath the hood. So let's see. How do we wanna trim this? I guess we're just gonna have to trim it like it's attached to the fender. There is paint protection film on the fender already, so Not that I would hit the paint anyway. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead, score the material across here. Okay, now I'm going all the way through. Okay, and let's take this up. Make sure when we're pulling this, we're pulling away from the hood, because if this goes off our tear line for some reason, we don't want it. If we're pulling this way, it could tear out into the hood. And then we'd be starting over. Okay. So now let's go ahead and cut this corner here. So I'm gonna go from right about here. Around that, and then like that. Okay, and then once we get over to here, I think I should be able to just tear this straight out. Be careful. Okay, let's get a little bit more tack under here now that we took this off of the fender. I had just the smallest amount of air right there, so I pulled that back just a little bit. And then now I'll squeegee that back out, do a swipe and hold. Let's get this whole edge squeegeed out real good. Swipe and hold, and then I'm gonna tuck that down in. Oops, that's the pressure for the swipe and hold. Enough that I fell forward when I slipped off the edge there. All right, so this side's always a little bit more tricky for me, trying to keep tension on it and cutting it. Oh, that's going really good actually, it's fine. Okay, back to this part here. Alright, we need this untacked from the hood. I'm sorry, from the fender. Don't get it untacked from the hood. Do not do that. Okay. Alright. Now we're gonna have to go across the fender again. Okay, tear on that line. I was just holding my finger there to make sure I didn't pull up any of the edges while I was tearing, because obviously we're putting some tension on that edge, and the edge still has a lot of moisture in it. So I'm just making sure that it doesn't pop it off the hood. Same as the other side, I'm going to get some tack in here. Well, I'm going to try to. I'm eventually going to get some tack in here. Okay, there we have it. Let's roll this over and in. And then I'll put some pressure on that for my swipe and hold. Same thing here. All right, now let's go ahead and trim this corner. And get myself a new blade. Okay, so we'll come back to about here. Okay, let's see how that did. I was pretty light. I was going pretty light on it. Let's try that again. Yeah, you know what? It feels like it's kind of sliding, gliding across. We did just use that whole edge for cutting this all out, all the way around, because we were back like a blade or two. So that whole edge has been used when we were trimming this out. So I'm gonna get I went back about 3 blades. Oh yeah, that's biting in there now. Okay, now I came off my line. All right, that should go better. Yes. Okay, around, and see how when it comes off your tear line like that, you don't want it to go back into the hood. Now I didn't make it all the way over around that corner, and I'm gonna just leave that like that, and then I'll worry about trimming this the rest of the way back to there when I get the hood open. That way I can get a good grip on the material to break it loose where the trim line is there, where we score the material. All right, now that this is open, let's make sure we know where we're gonna be starting. So right there. Then we'll go down with that. Great. You can see all that. Hopefully you can see that water dripping off of there, and that's kind of the advantage to putting the hood up, is that the water it gets out of there a lot faster. It'll all just kind of run down. I don't know if you can see that in there, the moisture traveling down, and it just goes and drips off. All right, so we've got that all trimmed off, and we're gonna go ahead and let this completely dry, and then I'll see you back for the wrapping of all these edges, and then we'll do some heat sealing and trimming around where the vent goes in. All right, let's go ahead and get to wrapping these edges. So the first thing I'm gonna do is take a lot of pressure with my thumb, and I'm gonna roll this edge over so that we're well off the top and really even off the side. And the reason for a lot of pressure is so that I don't accidentally trap an air pocket or anything on this corner as I'm trying to just roll this over. If you can see here, our finished edge currently is like way up here, almost on the top of the hood, and we want to get that around to the side or the bottom before we start putting heat on this. Oops. This one's got a hinge, or not a hinge, but a prop, a hood prop. I'm just gonna push it down and bend the crap out of the hood, huh? That seems like a great plan. All right, we'll just do this all the way around. Okay. All right, so we're gonna get 740 is good, anywhere between 700 and 800. Let's go ahead and heat up this adhesive and the PPF here. Warming that all up, and then we'll go ahead and roll that under. This should take about 3 passes to get that all the way down. Okay, let's heat up in this edge and heat seal this. And I've got a hole in that glove. I don't know where my other glove went. And I'm too lazy to go get a new one. Okay. Okay, let's start rolling this around now that it's warmed up. Okay, just gonna double check in here. We've got a little bit of extra material bunched up right here. So I'm gonna put a little bit more heat on it and push it down. One little spot where it's bunched up here. A little extra heat and give it another press. You can see the film get like real flimsy when you're putting the heat on it, and it just kind of starts blowing around with the heat gun. And that's how you know you've got that film good and warmed up, because it'll be a bit sturdier before that until it gets good and warmed up, and then it'll get kind of floppy. Okay, let's get our next section warmed up here. Okay. Just make our way all the way around. So this is like the third one of these. And then I've got another one next week. Oddly enough, the gentleman that showed up with the next one that's blue just like this came in when this car was in here and I was working on it. And so to get a couple Civic Type R's in here that are the same color, that's pretty rare. It was definitely kind of cool though, because he came in, he's like, hey, that's my car. That doesn't happen very often unless it's Teslas, and in which case, you know, we'll have Teslas in here and somebody will come in with the same exact Tesla. That's not quite as rare. But this car, plus the color, that was pretty surprising. So I'll be doing another one of these next week. This car we're not doing the black, any of the black parts on, other than the mirrors. But like on the bumper and stuff, he opted not to have those done. And the next one we're definitely doing that, putting that coverage on for them. Last little section here, and then we'll move on to the vent. Now this part you just want to be careful because you do, you know, part of it's wrapped and part of it isn't wrapped here. I think I got ahead of myself there, or I don't know if this happened just now or if it happened when I was wrapping it earlier on this section, just a few seconds ago or minutes ago. Okay, there we go, better. Now there is a little air pocket right there. Better again. All right, let's get this all the way down now. Okay. All right, so let's trim out this center section here now. So it's just this little bit hanging over. So we'll go ahead and cut that part off. Let me get my glasses on. Start right about here, then work our way around or over. Oh, I don't have to go that far. Okay. Let's go ahead and see if we can see our score mark. Stick our fingernail into it and then pull away, and that'll get the material to tear on that score mark. Awesome. Let's trim that back one now, and then we'll be good to go. So I'm moving incredibly too fast here to get a good squeak on the material. If you take your time and go a bit slower, you'll definitely be able to get that squeak, and that should help you know that you've got a good depth with your blade on the score mark. When you start moving faster like that, it doesn't make the same squeak. And then just remember, you want to be on the lighter side of the squeak. If you're squeak, you can still be hitting the paint if you're pushing too hard. So keep that in mind. Well, there you have it. That's the process of installing paint protection film on the hood of this 2025 Honda Civic Type R. So if you want to see the vent here get covered with paint protection film, I do have a video on the channel already where I did a partial hood and I did the vent in that one. So we're not going to add it to this video, but there is another one if you want to take a look at that and see exactly what that takes. You can look that video up. So appreciate you guys taking a look at this. If you found anything helpful, give the video a thumbs up, subscribe if you'd like to see more content like this, and we'll see you guys on the next one. How's it going? My name is Brent from Encore Window Tinting and Paint Protection Film, and today I wanted to go over with you removing the hood scoop here on a 2025 Honda Civic Type R. So we're going to be doing some paint protection film on this, and I need to get this out of here. All right, so it looks like we've got 1 to 5 10mm bolts here. That part's actually metal. I've got 2 on here. I'm going to take this tool here and we're going to put this on the outside. I'll show you. Just right there so that quits popping back in. There's little tiny clips on here, so you got to push those in. It's not about moving this whole tab, it's just about moving the clip that's in there. Okay, take this back now. Uh-oh. Is there one more in here? Yeah, one more 10mm. All right, now I'll reach over, grab this. There we go. All right, so there's the clips there, and you just kind of push that way on them, push in, and pop them loose. Oh boy, look at all that dirt in there. I mean, one wouldn't expect that, but I'm glad we took that out. All right, terrific. Well, thanks for taking a look. Hopefully you found something helpful. If you did, give the video a thumbs up, subscribe if you'd like to see more content like this, and we'll see you guys in the next one.